Hi, my name is Nicholas. Welcome to this week's Hatha practice. For props for today, I was just having a bolster, a soft block, and a strap of some kind. And when you're ready, we'll get started in child's pose. If you want to straddle your bolster, then go for it. And you can come to any expression of the shape. So you can have knees together, knees apart. If you want to have the soft block nearby for the forehead or anything else like that, then go for it. And just take your time to come and find your version of the shape, whatever feels best for today. If you're not quite ready for stillness and you need a little movement first, then feel free to find that as well. Even within your child's pose, you might give the hips a gentle rock and let them settle. Maybe a gentle rock of the head side to side. And as you're ready, settling yourself into stillness, and closing down the eyes or softening the gaze, and starting to bring the attention inwards. Noticing your headspace without judgment, just seeing how that is this morning. Does the mind feel busy or quiet or something else? Notice your body as well. Take a scan from the feet to the head and just see if there's any part that needs a little more attention today or a little more care. And from this place of stillness, invite the breath to start to deepen here. With each inhale, imagine you're finding just a little more room in the body. And with each exhale, just a little more grounding, a little more softening. Before we start to move, see if you'd benefit from a little more time in this shape. You're welcome to stay as long as you like, and you can also come back here or any other quiet shape whenever you need during your practice. When you do feel ready to start to move, gently press yourself up to a tabletop position. You can move your soft block to the side and then set your hands up roughly underneath the shoulders. You can work with palms flat, you can work with fists if that's better for your wrists. And toes tucked or untucked, knees roughly under the hips. And then inhale breath, let the belly sag down, lift the heart space, lift the gaze. And then as you exhale, reverse it, bring the chin towards the chest and dome the back. Inhale, let the belly sag down. Lift the heart space. And exhale, chin to chest. Keep going with your breath at your pace. If your body's asking for anything extra, feel free to add on. And you can also slow it down or pause anywhere along the way. Last few rounds here, and if you've added something with two sides to it, just make sure you feel even on both. And the next time you exhale, return to your tabletop position. And then from here, we'll lower all the way down to the belly. Look around for your bolster. And we're going to find a version of Sphinx pose supported by the bolster, so you can slide it between your arms and your chest. And find a height that feels appropriate for right now in your practice. If you need something a little more gentle on the back, then you can move the bolster forward. You can come down a little bit. If you want something with a little more intensity, you can bring the bolster closer. Soften the lower body, let the feet maybe rock a little bit here. Maybe a little movement for the pelvis, let that settle in. And then see what feels best for the neck, so you can keep the head lifted the whole time. You could let it hang heavy, anything in between. If it feels okay to close down the eyes, go for it. And take a few deep breaths here. Check in, see if you need a little more time here. And then when you're ready, you can gently back out of the shape, moving your prop off to the side, lowering the chest down to the floor, maybe stacking the forehead onto the palms. And from here, slide the right knee up towards the right, like a half frog pose. And let the pelvis be heavy here. See if anything feels a little sticky in that hip, and maybe you want to adjust where the right knee is, lifting it higher or lower. If the knee itself is sensitive, feel free to slide a soft block underneath. And from here, we'll set up for a quad stretch for that right leg. So maybe while the knee is still up here, you can reach down for the foot and then circle the leg back next to the other one so that the knees are close together. You can start to hug that right heel towards the bum, pressing the right side of the pelvis down, and breathe into whatever stretch you're feeling through the top of the right leg. And gently release your right foot, let it lower down to the left, and then we'll slide the left knee up towards the left for that half frog pose. The side may need something a little different to the first, so just take a moment to find whatever feels the most comfortable. And then settle into your shape and breathe into whatever you're feeling. And then again, setting up for that quad stretch. So maybe reaching down for the left foot, bringing the left knee next to the right. And if the foot's a little far away, feel free to use your strap here as well. Starting to hug the left heel towards the bum. Find that stretch through the top line of the left leg, the quad, the hip flexor. Notice if the left hip is trying to leave the floor. See if you can keep that nice and grounded. And gently release the left leg as well. Maybe give the feet a little rock side to side. Give the hips a little rock, give the head a little rock. And then, any way you like, flip yourself onto your back. And take a moment to get comfortable here, adding in any props that you need. And then we'll lift the knees towards the chest, wrap the arms around them, and give them a gentle rock side to side. And from here, separate the knees, reach between them, and we'll catch hold of the feet for happy baby. And find the version of this that feels best for right now. See if you can keep the low back grounded to the floor. And you might add a rock side to side. You might choose stillness. You can use the weight of the arms to draw the knees a little closer to the floor. Listen to your body here and modify as needed. Awesome. From here, keep hold of the right foot, release the left and let it lower to the floor. You can keep the left knee bent like this if this feels like plenty. If you like to extend the left leg long, that will add a deeper stretch. So you can keep the left hand at the left hip or maybe out to the left as a counterweight. And again, you might just give yourself a little movement side to side here. And when you're ready, you find your stillness. Notice what's going on in the body, in your head. And notice the breath. Awesome. And then look around for your strap and we'll loop that left foot. It's okay if your strap is a loop or if it's just like a straight line. So loop up the left or the right foot rather, and then extend the right leg towards the ceiling. Give your leg just a moment to get used to the shape. Give yourself enough slack with the strap so that your shoulders can stay grounded. And then make sure that the strap feels comfortable wherever it's pressing your foot. And we'll pulse the ankle a few times with breath. So as you inhale, curl the toes in towards the shin. And then as you exhale, press the toes towards the ceiling. Inhale, curl in. And exhale to point. Moving nice and slow with your breath, a few more. Last full round. Awesome. And then release the strap. Let the right leg extend long down the mat. And just pause here for a couple of breaths. Just check in with the right leg and with the left leg. See where they feel a little different now. Maybe the right leg feels a little heavier or a little longer. Maybe it feels a little more relaxed. Maybe something else. When you're ready, bring both the knees back into the chest. Reach between them, set up your happy baby once again. Just a few breaths here. Choose stillness, choose movement. Awesome. Keep hold of the left foot, release the right. Either right foot flat or right leg extends, and you can take it slow. And see what this left hip needs, a little movement or stillness straight away. And find your breath here. Awesome. Find your strap and we'll loop the left foot, sending the left leg up towards the ceiling. Again, give yourself as much slack as you need. This side may feel a little different to the first. Pelvis stays heavy. Shoulders are heavy to the floor. Inhale breath, curl the toes towards the shin. And then exhale, point them towards the ceiling. Your breath, your pace. Last full round. Awesome. Gently release and let the left leg extend long down the mat. And take a pause here just to notice. Only when you feel ready to move again, connect your knees into the chest, and wrap the arms around them. And this time start to rock up and down the length of the spine. You can move nice and slow, maybe avoid the neck here. Give the back a nice massage, and then when you're ready, building up a little momentum, and then coming up towards a seat. We'll set up for boat pose here, so you can scoop the flesh of the bum out of the way, connect the sit bones to the floor, maybe bring the hands to the knees and take a moment to lengthen the spine, to soften the shrug muscles a little bit. You can stay here, or you can come to tippy toe, or you can lift the shins up off the floor, maybe parallel. You can also release the arms for a little more challenge, maybe close down the eyes to challenge the balance. And then check in here, make sure you're still breathing. If you've lost the connection with the breath, maybe back out of the pose a little bit until you can find it. Maybe there's something else that can soften here. Perhaps it's the jaw or the space between the eyebrows. Last few deep breaths. If you need a little more time here, you can stay. When you're ready, bring the feet to the floor. Maybe separate them a little wider. And chest towards the thighs, arms around the legs, head can hang heavy. Stillness or gentle rock side to side. When you feel ready, lifting yourself back up, look around for your bolster. You can bring it near the top of the mat. You can also use hard blocks for this. And come to a tabletop position. And then we'll step the left foot forward just in front of the bolster. And you can shift your back knee back a little bit. You can also pat it with the soft block if needed. And then from here, hands can stay on the bolster or your blocks. Let the pelvis be heavy and come forward a little bit. And breathe into whatever you're feeling here. And when you're ready, we'll start to pulse into half split. So take an inhale breath, maybe lift the chest a little bit, lower the pelvis a little deeper. And then with an exhale, send the hips back. Left leg can extend any amount. It doesn't have to come to straight. And then inhale breath, come forward to your lunge. And exhale breath, hips back. Give the leg a stretch. A few more times with your breath. Last one forward. And then come back and we'll pause for a few breaths. See if there's anything that needs to adjust. Maybe the left leg can slide forward a little bit here. If you need to be more upright, then go for it. If you're happy folding, then go for that. You can also bring the left hand to the left hip. Maybe encourage that hip back a little bit here. Keep the left hip roughly in line with the right. Maybe there's something you don't need here that can soften a little bit. And breathe with whatever you're feeling. As you're ready, gently release forward. And any way you like, you can bring that leg around. And we'll set straight up for the second side. So stepping the right foot forward in front of your bolster. Maybe shifting the left knee back a little bit or patting it. And stay in your lunge. Let the pelvis be heavy here. Take a few deep breaths. All right, and then we'll start to pulse. Inhale breath, pelvis down, maybe chest lifts a little bit. Exhale breath, hips back, right leg extends any amount. Inhale, come forward. And exhale back. A few more. One last one, and then we'll pause. Hips come back as you exhale, pause here. And again, you might slide that right foot a little further forward and choose to be more upright or more folded. Maybe right thumb to the right hip to adjust. Find your shape and stay with your breath. Awesome. Gently back out of your shape. You can bring that right leg around. You can move your bolster to the side. And then we'll step one foot and then the other forward and come and find a forward fold at the top of the mat, giving your knees as much of a bend as they need so that the spine can dangle nice and heavy. Let the head of the neck go as well. Let that hang heavy. And see if there's an arm expression that would add on to this. If you need the hands for support, maybe hands to legs or props. Otherwise, maybe hands find opposite elbows. And choose stillness or a rock side to side. You can alternate bending knees as well. And release your bind if you have it. Hands to the legs. Take an inhale. Find a halfway lift. Lengthen. And then sigh and fold. And again. Two more. Last one. Inhale, halfway lift. And pause with your exhale. A strong belly, flat back. Inhale, come all the way up. Reach the arms up towards the ceiling. If you're at all lightheaded, you can come part way down again. You can hold on to a wall. And when you're ready, you can release your arms down to your sides. And circle the shoulders up towards the ears with an inhale. And exhale them down and back. And twice more. Awesome. We're going to set up for a balance pose here. So if you want to be close to a wall, then go for it. Lift and spread those right toes out. Lower them with a little gap in between if you can. And then transfer the weight to the right foot. Find a balance point, something to gaze at to keep you steady. With an inhale, we'll lift the left leg up and then cross the left ankle just above the right knee. If this doesn't work, do ankle to ankle, and that's easier for balance as well. And then from here, sink the hips straight back, start to bend into that right knee. You can flex the left foot if that helps feel a little steadier for the left knee here. Maybe hands come to prayer. Check in to see if the pelvis feels even side to side, if one side's higher than the other or further back. See what you can do to balance that out. And then make sure you're breathing here. We'll stay for just a couple more breaths. If you like to come a little deeper, then go for it. All right, inhale breath, come all the way up, and then step the left foot way back, but we'll just far enough that you can keep the foot flat to the floor. So setting up for a warrior one, my feet mostly point forward. If you find pointing the left foot a little further to the left helps just keep everything steady, then go for it. Bend into that right knee, and then keep that left heel really heavy. Find a nice little stretch for the calf there. If you need to adjust your stance, lengthen or shorten or anything else, then go for it. And hands can be at prayer. You can take them to the ceiling or anywhere else that you like. And take a moment to check in with the low back. And if it feels like a deep back bend, you might imagine hugging the pubic bone towards the belly button a little bit. Release the hands to prayer. Inhale breath, extend the front leg, and then turn all 10 toes over towards the left. Widen your base a little bit. We'll set up a goddess squat. So you can point the toes out a little bit, and then maybe knees and toes track together. You can give yourself a rock side to side, and then start to lower into your squat. Find a depth that feels just challenging enough, but somewhere that you can still breathe deeply. Find your gaze point or close down the eyes, and take a few deep breaths here. All right, inhale breath, come all the way up, parallel the feet, and then hinge forward for a wide-legged forward fold. If there's anything you'd like to adjust with your feet, then go for it. You can widen or shorten, you can adjust where the toes are pointing. Make sure that the low back, the hips, the ankles all are comfortable with this shape. If you need to be in more of a halfway lift shape, or if you need to use your bolster to bring the floor closer, then go for it. And if you don't need the hands for support, then option this time to interlace the hands at the low back, and you can either keep them there or reach them towards the ceiling. Let the head, the neck be heavy. And gently release your hands to the floor, come to a halfway lift, and then slowly start to heel toe the feet all the way together. Setting up for a toe squat, so with the feet together, start to bend your knees forward, let the heels lift up off of the floor. The hands can stay down, you can bring your bolster if you want a little more height. If having the knees together isn't working, you can try the expression with the knees wide as well. Maybe a gaze point to keep you steady. More challenge, you can play with lifting the hands up off the support, maybe hands to prayer. Let's see if there's anything that can soften here just a little bit. Awesome. We're going to head up to stand. So you can either come through a forward fold or press the feet down, lift yourself all the way up, and give the legs a little shake out. And you can come to stand at the other end of the mat. Find your mountain pose, maybe lift and spread the toes, lower them with little distance. Feet roughly underneath the hips, find whatever feels the most natural. The feet are grounding down, spine is proud, crown of the head lifting towards the ceiling. Take that scan through the body just to check in here. Find some gentle twists here. Let the arms be heavy. And when you're ready, flutter open the eyes, wiggle the fingers and your toes. And we'll set up to balance on the second side. So lift and spread those left toes out, lower them, ground down through that foot. And then with an inhale, lift the right knee up, right ankle just above the left knee or maybe in front of the left ankle. Find this, and then when you're ready, start to sink the hips back. Mindful that the right knee feels supported, you can flex the right foot. And check in here, see if one hip is ahead or further to the side than the other, and bring it back to center. Gaze point, breath to keep you steady. Find a depth that feels appropriate. Last few breaths, maybe sinking a little deeper. Inhale, breath, come on up, and then big step back with the right foot, keeping the heel to the floor. You can extend the other leg and just check in, find the version of the stance that feels best. The right heel stays grounded, and then you can bend into the left knee and check in with the pelvis, make sure everything feels balanced. Maybe hands to prayer if you did so on the first side, arms up towards the ceiling. Mindful of the low back here, chest proud, shrug muscles down. Back of the neck nice and long. And release the hands to prayer. Inhale, breath, come on up. Turn all 10 toes towards the right, and then set up your goddess squat. So widen your base, point the toes out. Maybe a rock side to side, make sure everything feels okay, and then find a depth that feels appropriate. And again, you can close down the eyes here. Notice where your mind's at. Bring it back to your breath if it started to wander. The last couple of deep breaths. When you're ready, inhale, breath, come up, parallel the feet, and then hinge your way forward, wide-legged forward fold. See if you need something a little different this round, and you're welcome to modify. What arm expression you'd like to add on. Maybe hands to the legs somewhere. Maybe hands interlaced behind the back again. If you're doing so, then switch the clasp so that it's the awkward side. Let the head go, let the neck go as well. Notice if there's anything else that you're using here that you don't need to. Maybe you can find just a little more softness. If you need a little more time, you can stay. Otherwise, walk the hands back under you and slowly heel toe the feet all the way together. A little different this round than the first. So once the feet come together, and start to come in like you did for your toe squat, except this time we'll lower the knees down to the floor. And check in to make sure that all the toes are tucked under. And then just see what the shape feels like. If it feels too intense and you're not able to breathe, or it's just awful and you don't want to be here, then maybe come up a little bit. If you want to come in and out as well, then maybe that's a more accessible stretch for the feet. Otherwise, if you're okay staying here, find a tall spine, release the arms to the lap, and breathe. Awesome. You can lean forward just to untuck the feet. We'll keep the legs together, bring the hips towards the heels, and then lower the spine down for child's pose. Adding in any support that you need here. And if for any reason child's pose isn't working for you and you want to find a kneeling shape, or you can swing the legs around and find a seat instead. And from child's pose, as you're ready, come back to your kneeling shape. And then we'll come up to stand on the shins. We're going to set up for camel pose, so you can bring your bolster and lie it across the ankles, just so that you have something a little closer by if you want to do the reach back, but we'll do it in stages. So knees roughly underneath the hips, and if they need more padding, then you can add that in now. Bring the hands to the pelvis, and then hug the elbows together, puff the chest open. You can keep the hands here, maybe bring fists or palms flat. Find that slight hug, pubic bone to belly button. And then with an inhale breath, start to press the pelvis forward, start to lift the chest up towards the ceiling. You can stay right here or reach one hand and the other back, either to cup the heels or to find your bolster. Once you make that connection, you can use that to bring the pelvis forward a little bit, to lift the heart a little higher, maybe to lift the gaze, but choose whatever feels best for the neck. And then breathe. If you need a few more breaths here, then you can stay. Otherwise, hug the belly to support the spine. Slowly lift yourself up. And then you can lower hips to the bolster, hips to heels. And pause here for a few breaths. Awesome. And take the left hand to the right leg, the right hand behind you. Take a deep inhale, and then twist towards the right. The right hand can be at the left hip or maybe to a prop. And take a few deep breaths. If you like to take the gaze back too, go for it. Gently unravel back to center. And we'll set straight up for the second side. So right hand, left leg, maybe left hand, right hip. Deep inhale. And twist to the left any amount. Gaze can follow. Inhale, unravel to center, maybe a counter twist. And then back to center. If you're on a prop, you can come off of it. We're going to set up a butterfly shape. So if you like to sit up off of your soft block, then go for it. There's a few different ways you can use your bolster here. For starters, if you need something to support the legs, then you might slide it under across the mat, just so that the legs have something to rest into. And then you could also use it to fold onto. So one option is to take one end of the bolster to the feet, the other end to the forehead or to the chest, and you can wrap the arms around. You can also lie it through the lap, maybe to bring the elbows down onto it. Maybe you have space to lower the chest or the forehead down onto it. So take your time and find your version of a butterfly fold. If for any reason folding doesn't work, but you want to stay with the legs, then you can stay upright here as well. It's okay to round the back in this shape too. Just make sure if you are that there's no pulling, that it's just like a passive stretching. Make sure it feels like a pain-free expression. So you feel free to adjust yourself to just avoid any pinching or anything that you would describe as pain. Awesome. And then slowly lift yourself back up as you feel ready. Maybe the hands to the legs. Take a moment to lengthen the spine, puff up the chest. You can also lean back on the hands, find a counter stretch. Maybe wiggle the shoulders a little bit, maybe rock the hips. Awesome. You can take your bolster down to the right. Just make sure that you have your strap nearby, and you can also come off of your prop. We're going to lower down to the back. You can bring the knees together first, though. Maybe take the feet a little wider. If you want a windshield wiper to release, then go for it. Awesome. And then come down to the back as you're ready. So we're going to set up for a twist, and then we'll take a one-legged twist and option to keep that top leg extended. I'll talk through it as we go, but the bolster is here in case you want to land that leg on, just so it has somewhere to rest if the floor feels a little far away. You can start by looping the left foot with the strap, and then scoot the hips over towards the left a little bit. You can extend the right leg towards straight, and take a moment just to check in with the shape. The straps to the right hand, and then slowly start to lower that left leg over towards the right. Now check in here. Your props are around to use them however you like. If you need a little more support for the left shoulder, you can add that in. If you need a little more or less slack, then adjust. But just make sure that the back can feel nice and heavy wherever it is. If this feels too intense with the leg extended, then you're welcome to bend the knee instead. And if you'd like to add one more quad stretch for the other leg, then option to bend that bottom knee. Maybe you can reach for the foot. This twist or any other twist, settle yourself in to wherever you're twisting from. Maybe close down the eyes and be with your breath. You can start by giving yourself a little more slack with that strap. Gently release the left leg, release the right leg back to center. You might take a pause once the hips come to midline, or if you like a little windshield wiper side to side, and just see where you need to be. Take a few breaths to release. And when you're ready, we'll set up the second side. So if the bolster was helpful on the first, then you can take it over to the opposite side. And this time we'll loop the right foot, sending the leg towards the ceiling, and then scoot the hips towards the right a little bit. Send the left leg long down the mat. The straps to the left hand now, guided across the body, and bring the leg to land onto its support. If anything needs adjusting, then go for it. Some support for the right shoulder, perhaps. If you did so on the first side and you want to go for the quad stretch, then reach for the left foot. Finding your shape, settling into it. Be with your breath. Gently release the left foot. Give yourself a little more slack to release the right leg. Bring the hips back to center, and then once more pause just for a couple of breaths. When you feel ready to, bring the knees back in the chest. Finding your happy baby, you can reach through, catch hold at the feet or somewhere else. Pelvis stays heavy. Give yourself a rock side to side. Maybe playing with alternating, extending one leg and then the other. And see if your body's asking for any last quiet and gentle movement or shape here. Otherwise, as you're ready, we'll release for Shavasana. If you like to take the bolster across the mat, lowering the thighs down onto it, it might feel nice and comfortable for the low back. The soft block is a pillow, and anything else you want to adjust in your space. If you want to adjust your lighting, temperature, music. If for any reason the shape isn't feeling restful today, find any other quiet, symmetrical pose. You can always be in a seated meditation too. Any movement that helps you settle in. And then let the breath release to its natural inhale and exhale. Let the eyelids be heavy. And let the jaw soften. Let the hands be heavy. Let the legs be heavy. Settle in for your rest. Gently deepen the breath to reawaken your body. Wiggling your fingers and your toes, giving the head a gentle rock side to side. Making your movements a little larger. You might reach the arms up overhead and give yourself a full body stretch. And then roll down to one side. Take a pause there for a couple of breaths. And with the support of the hands, coming up to find any comfortable seated position using any of the props that you have around. And settle to your seat. Ground whatever's touching the floor. Gently grow the spine. And chin can stay slightly tucked. And take a few moments here to scan through the body just to notice. Notice your headspace as well. Notice the gentle flow of your breath. Hands can connect at the heart. You can bow the chin towards the chest. Thank you for sharing your breath and your energy today. Namaste. Thank you for joining me for your yoga practice. And my name is Nicholas. If you have any questions, please reach out and have a great week.